The ceasefire had lasted 11 days. No one trusted it. Not the Vethrani commanders behind their ridgeline fortifications, and certainly not the Terran 14th Forward Battalion dug into the crumbled remains of what had once been a processing district on Vethran 4. Both sides called it a ceasefire. Both sides meant we are reloading. Sergeant Dara Osei sat on an ammunition crate outside the field kitchen and ate cold ration paste from a foil pouch. Around him, the district was a ruin. Collapsed archways, shattered bioceramic walls, dust the color of old bones settling into everything. The Vethrani architecture had been beautiful once, maybe. Hard to tell anymore. He wasn't thinking about beauty. He was thinking about his left boot, which had developed a slow leak somewhere in the inner membrane, and about whether the resupply drone was going to arrive before nightfall, and about nothing in particular, which was the soldier's great talent, the ability to think about small things loudly enough to drown out larger ones. That was when he saw the child. It was crouched behind a collapsed column about 20 meters out, in what had been a market square. Vethrani. Small, genuinely small, not just by adult standards, but the kind of small that meant young. Its secondary eyelids were half closed against the dust. Three-fingered hands gripped the column's edge. The amber gold coloring of its crest was dull and flattened against its skull, which Osei had learned months ago was a stress response, like a dog pinning its ears. It was watching him eat. Osei stopped chewing. He looked at the child. The child looked at the foil pouch in his hand. Its gaze did not move. Its nostrils, two horizontal slits above a narrow jaw, flared once, twice. "Hey," Osei said in Vethrani. His accent was poor. The word came out closer to Haya, which technically meant shadow, but close enough. The child flinched. Did not run. Osei set the foil pouch down slowly on the crate beside him, the way you'd set down a weapon during a negotiation, visible, unhurried, non-threatening. He put both hands on his knees. The child's crest stayed flat. Its eyes tracked the pouch. Then it stepped out from behind the column. It walked toward him in the particular way of something that had decided the risk was worth it. Not brave, exactly, but past the point where fear was the loudest voice. Its feet made no sound on the dust. It was wearing what had been a tunic of some kind, now reduced to structural suggestion. Its rib cage was visible through the fabric. Not the way ribs show on a lean body. The other way. It stopped 2 meters from Osei and looked up at him. "Just one meal," it said. Vethrani, child dialect. The phrasing simplified and blunt the way children made language when they were too tired for subtlety. Asterisk Karail. Sova Karail. Asterisk just one. Just one meal. Osei looked at it for a long moment. Then he picked up the foil pouch and held it out. The child took it. Both hands. Careful, like it might disappear. It sat down right there in the dust, 2 meters from an enemy soldier, and ate. It ate with the focused urgency of someone who had learned not to pause, not to look up, not to waste a single second on anything that wasn't the food in front of them. Osei watched. He'd been in 4 engagements against Vethrani forces. He'd seen what Vethrani soldiers looked like in combat. Fast, coordinated, their trilimb physiology giving them movement options humans didn't have, their group pressure communications meaning a squad functioned almost like a single organism. He'd watched them take a ridge in 14 minutes that his own battalion's planners had estimated would require 2 hours. They were not a weak species. This was a weak child. That was different. That had always been different. He pulled out a second ration pack from the case beside him, protein block, not paste, which tasted marginally better, and set it on the ground between them without comment. The child looked at it, then at him. "Why?" it asked. The child dialect word for why was the same as the adult word. Some concepts don't simplify. Osei thought about it honestly, the way you could afford to with someone who hadn't learned yet to read strategy into an answer. "Because you're hungry," he said. "And I have food." The child's crest twitched. Not the full raise of curiosity, more like the involuntary flicker of something that hadn't expected a simple answer. "You are the enemy," it said. "Right now there's a ceasefire," Osei said. "Right now I'm just a person with food, and you're just a person who's hungry." The child considered this with the serious weight that children gave to ideas they were deciding whether to believe. Then it picked up the protein block. Corporal Yin Seojin found him there 20 minutes later, sitting on the ammunition crate with an alien child asleep against his left boot. She stopped, looked at the child, looked at Osei. "Sergeant." Corporal, is that? Yes. How did? It walked up and asked for food. Yun crouched down to look at the child more carefully. Its crest was fully relaxed now, the amber gold colors deepening as its body warmed. The protein block wrapper was still in one of its three-fingered hands. It's malnourished, she said quietly. I know. The district's been contested for 6 weeks. Whatever supply lines they had. She didn't finish the sentence. I know, Osei said again. Yin was quiet for a moment. She was the battalion's secondary medic, which meant she thought about bodies in terms of what they needed and what they were missing, regardless of whose they were. It was a professional reflex she'd never bothered to turn off. We have the nutrient supplements from the last resupply, she said. The Vethrani metabolic profile is close enough to human that the broad-spectrum ones should. I know, Osei said, for the third time, and smiled faintly at the ground. Yin looked at him, then at the child. Then she stood up and went back into the field kitchen without another word. She came back with 4 supplement packs and a thermal blanket. She set the supplements next to Osei's crate. She spread the blanket over the child without waking it, tucking it in with the same efficient care she used on her own soldiers. The child stirred once, made a sound that wasn't quite a word, and settled deeper. Neither Osei nor Yun spoke for a little while. It's family, Osei finally said. I'll talk to Lieutenant Park about running a perimeter check toward the north quarter. See if, Yun paused. See if there's anyone looking. Quietly. Obviously quietly. The sun, Vethran Ivy's sun, yellow-white and slightly too bright by human standards, had begun its afternoon descent. Shadows lengthened across the ruined market square. Somewhere beyond the ridge line, a Vethrani drone made its routine pass, noted no movement, moved on. Somewhere beyond the battalion's eastern flank, a resupply drone was still theoretically en route. The child slept. The family came at dusk. 2 adults, moving low and fast along the collapsed outer wall, stopping when they saw the human soldiers. Stopping completely, the way prey animals stop, total stillness, every muscle locked, crest feathers rising into full threat display despite every logical instinct. Because logic takes longer to fire than fear. Osei stood up slowly. He made sure his hands were visible. He took a step back from the child so the adults could see it, breathing, wrapped in silver thermal material, alive, fed. The 2 Vethrani adults stared at him. He didn't say anything. He'd found, in the months since first contact, that humans talked too much in moments that didn't need words. That sometimes the clearest statement you could make was to simply stand still with your hands open and let someone else process what they were seeing. One of the adults, female, from the secondary crest patterning, made a sound Osei's translator didn't catch cleanly. Not language. Something older than language. She crossed the square in 9 steps and gathered the child without looking at Osei again. The child woke just enough to grab her arm and make the same child dialect sound it had made when Yun covered it with the blanket. The male Vethrani stopped at the edge of the square. He looked at Osei. His crest was a confusion of signals, threat and grief, and something that didn't map to human expression, but that Osei recognized anyway, the way you recognized a shape in a foreign alphabet that still somehow meant the same thing. He put one 3-fingered hand flat against his chest. Pressed once. Released. Osei had seen that gesture before. He'd asked his Vethrani language consultant about it months ago, in a briefing that felt like it had happened in a different war. Asterisk it means, I see you. I see what you did. I will not forget. Asterisk. Not gratitude, exactly. Something more structural than gratitude. Something that went into the category of debts that couldn't be paid, only carried. Osei nodded once. The 3 of them disappeared into the dusk. He sat back down on the ammunition crate. His left boot had been leaking the whole time. He'd barely noticed. Yin appeared at the field kitchen doorway. Resupply drone just confirmed ETA, she said. 40 minutes. Good, he said. She looked at the empty market square. At the folded thermal blanket someone had left at the foot of the column. At her sergeant, who was looking at the same thing. You think the ceasefire holds? She asked. Osei was quiet for a long moment. I think it matters what we do inside it, he said. Yin considered that. Then she went back inside to finish her med checks, and Osei sat in the settling dust of Vethran 4, and somewhere beyond the ridge line, the Vethrani male was telling someone what he had seen.